What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Music Is My Business podcast, live Q&A. I'm excited to be back. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know what you do so I can see who we have in the building, man. We're going to talk about sync licensing. I have a special guest today, but before I introduce him, I want to see who we have in the building, man, before we get into these gems. I am CJ. What's up? Just stopping through to show love. Much appreciated. Hope all is well, CJ. We got Flares in the building. What's up, Flares? Flares got a new computer, y'all. Like, he's about to max his joint out to like 644 tracks. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Congrats to Flares on the new machine. It's what was it? M4 Max or M4 Ultra? One of those. Mac Studios. Jason Dowdy's in the building. What's up, Jason? Good to see you. Desmond Lewis, what's good? We got Dan Coate in the building. What's up, Dan? Marty, shout out to my Sync Producer Hub members in the building. TTP Music Lab from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What's up? Canada in the building. We got Ray Garcia. We chopped it up with Ray last week. Super dope conversation from Claremont, Florida. We got Jared back in the building. We got Nate. What's up, Nate from Georgia? Good to see you. So we're gonna get into this conversation, but first, we always have to start off with some wins from the community. So let's see if we got some wins today. That's not the screen we want to see. This is the screen we want to see. All right, let's see who's been winning this week inside the Sync Producer. Where's my mouse? Listen, it's just too many screens, and then I just be confused. All right, so we got Candace with a win and a lesson. I love the wins that come with lessons. Okay, so it says, I've been slow to share because I honestly was in a hard place, but I do have a win to share. I have 3 songs accepted in another library. I'm working on other submissions, and I'm excited for what is to come. I also received feedback about my first playlist that the songs loop too much for a certain publisher. I'm taking that feedback and will revise the songs when moving forward with orchestral hip hop. My other playlist, I'm working on an R&B vocal and orchestral trailer cues. Let's go. Huge win from Candace. A Sync Producer Hub member and a TV placement mastery student out here crushing it. I love to see it. Let me see. We got another one from Stanley. Stanley says, God is good. Amen. Boom. I've got some electric news to share with my fellow producers. I just landed my first paid gig as a music producer. Yeah, you heard that right. And get this, it's with a classmate that I went to college with in 2017 while attaining my associate degree in advertising and graphic design. Wow, that's crazy. Talk about full circle. I'm absolutely buzzing with excitement and overflowing with gratitude. Huge shout out to my creator for opening this door, and to every producer out there grinding. Keep pushing. Remember, push. Pray until something happens. Let's get it. Shout out to Stanley. I love those situations, man. And that's why it's so important to like network across. Sometimes it's not about, going up and like trying to get to people who are like already in position. Sometimes like the people you're sitting next to in college while working on an associate's degree in advertising and graphic design. And that could be like the person that you end up working with. It's crazy how that happens. So that's super dope. I love to see it. Shout out to Stanley. Dope stuff. I had a personal win that I shared with the community, and it was a first for me. I landed my first placement on an animated series titled Lil Kev. Shout out to Kevin Hart and Heartbeat Productions. Got something on episode 5. And so yeah, that was a win for me, DJ Horn. And I'm excited about it because it was different. And I'm actually gonna do next week inside of Sync Producer Hub, Tuesday night. I'm gonna do a breakdown and kind of show you behind the scenes of what that looked like behind the scenes. Me working on some tracks for that, and we'll pull up the track that got placed, and we'll see if we can find the placement as well. So we'll do that inside Sync Producer Hub. I think that'll be fun. So yeah, that's it, man. Much appreciated. Let me see. We got oh, your mouse is lagging. Time to upgrade to the M4 Max. Gonna have gas by the end of this stream. Gear acquisition syndrome. Any excuse to upgrade to the newest tech, right? Um, Jason says, "Isn't he still Lil Kev?" Technically, yes. He's still a little guy. So yeah. All right, y'all. Without further ado, I want to introduce a sync agent that I've known for some years now. I've submitted a bunch of stuff to him. I've landed placements through him and his company. Without further ado, I want to introduce Matthew Steele from Steele Sync, based here in Atlanta. Matthew, what's up, bro? How you feeling, man?
Hey, good man. Feeling great. It's been a great week. It's been busy and had a few in week deadlines that we were able to get submitted, and just be waiting. Hopefully next week. Eager to hear back.
Nice. I love it, man. So yeah, we had a chance to catch up and have lunch earlier this week, and you're working on some amazing things, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But I was just like, man, it would be dope if you could like just come through and chop it up with the community and just kind of share your perspective, especially as like a sync agent, because you know
Yep.
we're a community of producers, so we're kind of like on the pitching side of things, and
Yep.
we're trying to like make sure we're doing things the right way. So I thought it would be dope to just kind of get your perspective on
Yeah.
on what you do. So I guess tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So basically, I fell into sync licensing back in 2010, 2011 with an artist I was managing. It was a guy out of Tampa named Prophet. And we landed independent film first that got picked up by Lionsgate. Didn't barely get any money for that project, but the one that came right after that was the #1 box office film, Limitless, with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro. Landed that like 2011, and then landed a few extra placements after that. It was The Family, which is #2 at the box office. Parks and Recreation, 100th episode, and like Sons of Anarchy, all within like 2 or 3 years. And I was like, man, I got to figure out how I can do more of this sync stuff, because at the time before that, I was the financier behind these a few artists.
Mhm.
And it probably took about $1,000 to get that song completed between the recording time, mixing, and mastering.
Mhm.
And made 15 to 20 grand in syncs from that one song just in like a 3 year time span. So I was like, let me figure out how I can do this more.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
started my company in 2012, in the beginning of 2012, and just started growing my catalog. I kind of started at a low rate to, be enticing for independent artists to come. And I still keep my rate fairly low as much as I can,
right.
to try to put money back in the artist's pocket, because I know how difficult it can be sometimes making money in this business. And without being on the road 300 days a year, sync is a way where you can be around a home studio or a professional studio and turn around stuff pretty quickly within a day or two, and you just keep submitting opportunities until you land. And um, for me, it's like my ultimate goal is to get multiple tracks in the spotting session. The spotting session is with like normally like a music supervisor, director. In television, there'll be a showrunner probably, and it's anywhere from 2 or 3 people in the room to sometimes where there's 5 or 6 people in the room, and they're all trying to decide in a spotting session which song to use for each scene. And there's 5 or 6 songs they have to choose from to go through. And my ultimate goal is to kind of get multiple songs in that spotting session, so my chances increase. Because if I just have one, say there's 5 songs, that's a 20% chance of landing.
Yeah.
Um, so if I hit 2 or 3 songs, say if it's three out of of the songs are mine that I represent, then my chances increase by over 50%, 60%, pretty much.
That makes sense.
So that's my ultimate goal, and I try to get in there early, where I'm not always chasing stuff that's already in post, but also going after stuff early when it's in pre-production or in production. So I sometimes you get stuff in there early with editors, like audio editors as well. It's another
Mm-hmm.
way in. Actually, it's funny I brought that up because they had temp music in the that Coke spot that I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
and they a lot of times they'll have temp music and they'll use that in the editing process. But when it comes to licensing, they got to put something else in that fits that has a similar feel.
Yep.
And that's we try to work with all budgets. Sometimes fees can be on the lower end of things where it's only around like a $500 per cue thing, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's plenty of money. When there's big ads or trailers or opening scene credits, closing scene credits, anything with the credits like doubles the money. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, the commercials have just exploded. It kind of kept me busy like about a year ago a year and a half ago when the strikes were
Writer
going
strike.
on. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I noticed too when, like production on shows kind of slowed down. You didn't see any briefs for that stuff unless it was something that was just like already in the process and they were like just going to put it out anyway, but
yeah.
or just kind of wrap it up so it'll be ready. But the briefs that I still seen coming in were commercials, ads, and just different brand opportunities. So I
And those
think that kind
commercials can be harder to land, than
yeah.
some TV and film stuff.
Yep.
And your chances of landing them are a lot slimmer normally. But if you do land one, they pay really well. So, if you do land one, it could possibly pay for the bills for the rest of the year, or at least for a quarter, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome. Yeah, so you mentioned the pay difference when something's credited. Is that kind of like a general rule of thumb? Is like if you're being credited like opening credits or ending credits that you know fees double, or is it
yeah.
like like
Anytime where there's credits being used, pretty much doubles or triples the amount of they're paying for the music. And a lot
mhm,
of times in this major film, you're looking at six-figure placements for opening scene credits, the first and closing scene credits, the first song especially. But sometimes
mhm.
even the second or third song is still getting pretty good money just because there's credits involved.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I was just researching like I don't know if you were looking at the Super Bowl commercials this year, but there was a Seal Baja
Yes.
Blast commercial.
He Seal was a seal. They turned him into an actual seal. That was wild.
Yeah, man, they customized the song for Baja Blast for the commercial too, with customized lyrics and everything, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure they had a big budget on that one. That was probably like a
Huge.
you know half
Yeah.
million dollar spot.
I
With
imagine. Yeah,
music,
I was just
yeah,
like they spent money on that.
yeah,
Yeah, that was fun. That was a funny one. Um, we got a question from
yeah.
TTP Music Lab says, "What makes commercials harder to land?"
Okay, so a few reasons why. A lot of times when you're dealing with commercials, I won't say a cattle call because sometimes we call those requests that the briefs that go to everybody call that a cattle call. But with commercials, there's layers of marketing approvals. So there's more layers you got to go through, especially if you're dealing with like a big ag agency or a big brand that has a huge marketing department. You're trying to please everybody, and there's with ads, there's a lot more people that are involved than a lot of times in film and television. A lot, especially in independent film, like the directors kind of have the final say, and then in television, kind of the showrunners kind of have the final say in a lot of television. Um, so, sorry, I was trying to make sure I'm answering the question. What was the
Just
second part?
what makes commercials harder to
Commercials harder
land?
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like with commercials, they'll reach out to multiple connections, especially if it's like a certain like a certain genre, and
Hmm.
they'll have dozens of submissions, and a lot of times they don't have time to go through it, and a lot of times they might do that massive cattle call at first, and then they'll send another brief out after they've received thousands of records and don't have time to go through it and be like, okay, well, by the way, we are looking for someone that's either famous or someone that has 100,000 Spotify streams or more. You're seeing that more often, where it's more of a partnership deal.
Nice.
with a brand or uh, and with a artist that's got those kind of streams.
Nice. So it seems like to me, man, especially if you're an independent artist, that I mean, sync should just absolutely be a part of your strategy overall. Like even if like that's not your main thing, because it just seems like the byproduct of getting a placement is like more money, number one, and then
Yep.
also
More
depending on
exposure.
how the music is used, yeah, the exposure that you get from it, and then streams go up, and
Yep.
now you have a way to
Stream.
kind of funnel those potential new fans into maybe an email list or like
Yep.
whatever. I think it can just be huge for
You're having those multiple streams really too. You're having that upfront sync fee, which is anywhere from nothing to 500 on the low end to, as on the independent side, as much as I see as much as a $500,000 for independent music.
hmm
And of course, if they're paying for that much for independent music, it's got to be of a certain quality and
yeah,
tier. Kind of the cream rise to the top or whatnot kind of thing.
yep,
Um, Absolutely.
yeah. We got a couple questions from Jason Dowdy. He says, "Do you
Okay.
have a story where a music creator really let you down?" Um, so yeah, let's start with that, and then we'll
I
circle
mean, I
back
have a
around to
couple
some.
this week. I have a couple this week.
Oh man.
I had a placement with another sync agent. I was just networking. We've been going back and forth on a few briefs, and he sent over some like a jazz brief. He wanted the E minor, so it's either you had it already or it has to be customized.
Yeah.
Um, so pull the. Let me make sure I answer all part of the question. There's two parts.
Yeah. I'll pull
Ensure
it up.
bring spotting session the best chance to get in place. That's a lot of screening, basically. So, like, if I put, say, like, if I get a brief, I might send it to as many as one or six to a dozen people, depending on the brief. And if there's multiple briefs on a project, then I might be putting together a larger playlist. Um, and so, so basically, my job is to pitch, for each queue, anywhere from one to five or six records by the most.
hmm
And then out of those records, those first really like first two or three records, I'm really trying to get those into the spotting session. Those are my ultimate goal. But if as long as I'm getting multiple downloads on my disco playlist when I'm pitching,
Yeah.
sometimes they download all, sometimes they download individual tracks, and they normally will download MP3s. And sometimes if they want to just throw it in there already, they'll download the WAV and AF file. So to
Mm.
have that on hand, and of course, having the instrumentals on hand. If it's full songs you're pitching, and then having in those rare situations when you might need stems, having that available too can make you stand out from everyone else.
Nice. Nice. Um, Ken says, I hear that real instruments get better placements than VST instruments. Is that true? If so, how do you tell?
You can a lot of times you can hear it. Like I just had a pitch session last week, and an artist had it was live horns, and
hmm
we could tell off top that these were live horns, and this was something special.
Yeah.
It really stands out having that live instrumentation and done correctly.
hmm
Because it's got to be recorded correctly, and it's got to be played correctly as well. But it really makes a difference, especially in sync licensing, when you're looking at 100% of the original material that you're presenting is all yours, and you want to kind of put your best step forward and have the best sounding music you can. And I would just suggest, like by you know having your best tracks first when you're pitching in playlists. Having don't wait to put the best song you have third or fourth. You got to start it off because it really like within the first few seconds, and the same thing with social media now. But I mean, like I'm only listening for a few seconds, and I know within probably 5 to 10 seconds if it's something that's syncable or not. And if I hear live instrumentation, if I hear live drums,
hmm
bass, if I hear guitar, acoustic or electric, if you're hearing like a choir or like a horn section or a string section,
Yeah.
that just adds the value of the record mix it higher, and especially if it's professionally mixed and mastered, and done correctly, especially the mix part. It means because a mix can really break a song or make a song a sync. The
Yeah.
fact that if a song is mixed very well, it means that you can pitch for higher opportunities, like those big ads we were talking about earlier, those opening scene credits, closing scene credits. So those are different ways I kind of strategize against it.
Nice. That's good. Got one from Dan. Says, let me see. So I've read that if you have the same track on multiple non-exclusive libraries, that they end up retitling your track because of the possibility that there could be confusion on the publishing royalties. I've also read that for bands that it would be better to try and get into an exclusive library because music supervisors are more likely to work with exclusive libraries to avoid legal issues if songs haven't been properly cleared. What's your take on that? Kind of, I guess, non-exclusive versus
I'm not.
exclusive.
I don't.
Uh-oh, did we lose him? Oh man, we lost Matt. Matt disappeared. We were about to get the gems. We're gonna give him a minute. He'll probably come back on. Hopefully, he didn't have like a power outage. That would that would be terrible. So I have heard the thing about the bands. Okay, here he is.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, got no, you're good. I was like, I hope his
back.
power didn't go out like from how the power is here in Atlanta, bro. Like it'll just go out for no reason.
Yeah, especially with all the storms we've been having lately and stuff.
Wind.
Man, that storm the other night woke me up at like midnight, and I was like,
Same.
man, it sounds like a tornado outside. I was like, what's going on?
Exactly.
It reminds me of the old Florida days. I was like, man, we don't get storms like that out here.
Crazy. Yeah. It's
Okay, I don't retitle. I look down on retitling. I don't agree with it. I believe that artists should title their own music, and we should represent the titles that they create, and we should be retitling things and renaming things to try to get placements or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like I suggest, for any creative should possibly work non-exclusively as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying I'm against any exclusive deals because I do some exclusive deals. But as a creative, I would suggest locking in a small portion of your catalog exclusively, not a dozen songs exclusively in one. Because you want to be diverse. You want to have your not all your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can have as many as 1 to 4, 5, 6 non-exclusive deals. And then, like, for me, I'm doing exclusive deals when it's, like, exclusive to, like, a certain market. Wherein, like, it's exclusive to automobiles or exclusive to beverages.
Yeah.
So those are kind of – and it'll be exclusive for, for the ad for, however long they run it, whether it be, like, a 6-month campaign or year campaign or social media campaign or however they're going to do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then so being like a sync agent, right? So I imagine or tell us how you do splits like versus like a music library, right? Because a lot of times we'll see a music library, they'll give us or they'll allow us to retain like 100% writer share of royalties, and then that library will retain 100% publisher share of royalties. Do you do the same like as a sync agent, or is it set up a little bit different?
Typically, no. I almost never take anything on the back end or publishing.
Okay.
It's normally just a percentage of the upfront sync fee. Like, and I say it can range anywhere from 0 to 500,000 on independent tracks. I'm not representing the Beatles or the Rolling Stones where they get $1 million per queue. Yeah. Unless someone's a very good negotiator, like someone like Rick Clark could get it a little cheaper if he's savvy about it,
Right, exactly. Dope. So that's cool. So I guess and then that puts you in a position too to where there's no need to retitle because everything is just staying as far as like whatever the artist kind of registered it as, which that's pretty cool.
And you don't get into those retitling issues too.
Mm-hmm.
when doing that, you know. And the thing is too is like if they retitled the name and then it changes the name of the song, then they're looking for the retitle name of the song, and maybe the old one's the one that's on the DSPs, and
Mm-hmm.
you know like, they're not, you know. So there's, you know, certain issues that might that come along with that, and I just try to stay away from it. And a lot of the companies that are doing it are more, I won't say they're shadier companies, but they're companies that are not as artist friendly as some other libraries or sync agents or direct connections as well.
Got you. Cool. We got one from IMCJ. Says, is it possible to get a placement from your social media page? Say I post a smash hit jingle about Miracle Whip and the brand loves it. Do music supervisors ever find placements that way? Just curious. That was very
Uh,
specific. I feel like she has a jingle about Miracle Whip on her page, right?
hey, yeah, it might work. I mean, there's always a way in. It's very difficult to actually have something you posted on social media to turn into a sync placement. But I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, as long as it's out there, people can find it. Especially like if it's a supervisor or like someone that's paying for the music and they are able to, you know, find the music and then contact the person and having their, you know, their splits and their metadata together with all their, you know, their email, phone number, and all that key info is really key. So that, you know, if they do see it, you know, they know who to contact.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I guess it's better to have it out there than to not, just to kind of, you know,
Yeah,
give yourself
and
a
then a
chance.
lot of times, I mean, they only rarely are music supervisors wanting to actually release the record along with the project. I know a supervisor over at EA Sports that does that, where she takes the music unreleased and then she'll release it like with FIFA or with like Madden or whatever.
Dope, dope. Love it. We got one from Nick. Says, what's the best approach to approach a sync agent? I've heard that sending your music in a cold email is not the best way and one should build up connections, but how can one build connections without sending cold emails? Does this make sense? It's a good
Yeah,
question.
no, all right, so I get a lot of submissions. So, you know, like a lot of times when someone sends me something, I might not listen to it right away, especially if it's not something that's urgent, like that I'm pitching at the moment. Not saying that I won't go back and listen to it. Um, I would suggest, you know, sending something like those cold emails first, but also send a follow up email, like, you know, give me like a week or two to get back. If I don't get back to you in like a week or two, just send me an email and say, hey man, did you get a chance to listen to it? Just really want to know what you think, or whatnot. And a lot, 9 times out of 10, if someone sends that follow up email, I'll go back and listen to it just to see, you know, make sure I'm not missing anything, because I don't want to miss any opportunities. So like if, you know, if there's, you know, opportunity to be made in my email box, I'm going to be there listening and trying to, you know, do deals as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything like you look for specifically, or like anything that,
Yeah.
like
Okay. So,
subject line, or like what kind of stands out to you?
short and sweet, really, man. Having the, I mean, like you could say, like, you know, like if, you know, if you had some, um, any kind of like awards or any kind of, you know, any kind of things, that I can mention in the pitch process, saying, oh, by the way, they were on an Emmy Award team for Sports Center or something, or, you know, whatever the, you know, accolade might be, you can
Okay.
mention that. And then I do a lot of in person meetings, so like, you know, if someone's in, even if they're not in the same city, there's a chance I might be in your city later this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I take lunch and business meetings all the time. So if someone wanted, you know, to get a meeting with me, you know, just, it's pretty easy, you know, just schedule a lunch and dinner with me, like, you know, within, you know, a few weeks. This month is a little more busier than others because I'm you know, promoting the conference as well.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know, I still take time, you know, especially if someone follows up, someone personalizes it, takes the time to actually personalize the emails.
Right.
That really stands out, to me, you know, saying, oh, you know, by the way, I like this sync placement you had here, or, you know, or I saw that you work with this artist and I'm a fan or something, you know.
Yeah.
Anything like that helps, just to build, start to build a small relationship we can build on, and hopefully, with sync licensing, it's long term. It's not always short term. So,
Right.
I'm looking to build relationships that, sometimes last years and decades.
Yep. That's a fact, man.
Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned the conference that you're working on, and I tell people like when you get a chance to get out and go to those in-person events, it could really supercharge your career and your connections because now people are able
Oh,
to kind of put a face to the music. So talk about that. Talk about the conference. Like what are you putting together for that, and how can people like take advantage of opportunities like that to really get in front of people?
yeah, I mean, like as you know, man, like in-person events, you can really make it a strong impression. And one thing we do at Sync Spotlight is we feature some music from the actual attendees.
Okay.
We have like 2 hours of listening set aside in the last two panels, and I try to mix up the music as much as possible and try to make it as diverse and broad. To show like the different genres, the different styles of music that are in the house.
Mm,
And that's something that we did started doing, Six Spotlight last year. And then this year, we're just looking to take these briefs and actually land these placements as much as possible. And, we're doing like a customized camp this year.
nice.
So the conference is April 4th and April 5th.
Okay.
April 5th is the big day. It starts April 5th, Saturday morning around 11 a.m. First panel at 1, and last panel is not till 9:30. So it's a long day. And then we have a pre-event at Rehearse Live Friday night, which will be like an opportunity to come get your badges early, network, grab some food. DJ London Elixir will be in the building, and we might
London,
have like an
dope.
exclusive performance, just an opportunity, to network in person from 5 to 10 the night before. So like the next day, you're like, oh, I met them last night. I heard their music,
Yeah.
and now it's like, let's work together, or let's find how we can work together.
Dope.
And then like even for the post party we're bringing the music supervisors from the last panel of the evening, and we're taking them to Battle and Brew, which is like within a mile of the venue, and we're gonna do like some games, a few drinks, and like some food and stuff,
Nice.
and try to really lock in these relationships with the supervisors, especially someone like Joel C. High that's going to be there.
Nice. Yeah.
It's a 688 film that just had a Diane Warren film or Diane Warren song in it that was just
Oh wow.
nominated recently in the Oscars.
Wow.
Um, so it just tells you the kind of caliber projects he's working with Tyler Perry and
Yeah.
Kerry Washington on that project.
Yeah. Joe's the
And
man.
he's been a soup that's been in it for a while. Like he did Monsters Ball with Holly Berry and Billy Bob Thornton back in the day. Like he's been doing it for
Yeah.
a minute. So we're excited we have him on board, and then Ashley Tamar from Houston, who has had a very lengthy music career as an artist
Mm.
first. She was in Game Time, the group before Destiny's Child. She was in that, and
Okay.
then she toured like with Prince for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Was like pretty much like right next to Prince on some of the biggest performances he had. And then now she's doing the supervision stuff full time. Both like projects on like streaming networks like Hulu and Netflix, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Yeah, that's dope. For those who are interested, man, I dropped the link to that in the description as well. So hit that, grab your ticket. I will definitely be there in the building. And I think it'll be a great opportunity, man, to connect. Let's see what other questions we have. Jason Dowdy says these are gems. What's up, G5? Ken says, what is DSPs? Um, uh, the
Spotify, uh,
distribution services. Yeah,
Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal or
yeah. And then that, well, I think now like you can go through,
like
service like
TuneCore,
DistroKid and yeah,
DistroKid.
TuneCore, and it'll send it to all of them.
Yep.
Um, Dan Coates says, what is the typical percentage that you take as the sync agent on the upfront fees?
Typically I take is 40, but I mean, like, I just did a commercial a couple weeks ago, and I was only taking 10, and
Okay.
I had a business partner that was taking 10, and that was all on the business side. So it
Okay.
was like a 20% commission altogether for the kind of like sync agents, and then the other 80 went to the creative on the commercial.
Got you. It's not bad at all. And again, the powerful thing about licensing is you can just keep doing that over and over and over again as the
Yeah.
artist. So that's dope. No doubt, CJ. Allison Penn says, "What are your current needs?"
Uh, okay, so there's a record that we're looking to replace. It's at Boykins. Let me pull it up. Uh, Boykins third. I might have sent that over to you too, Anthony, didn't I?
Yep. Yep.
Um, Let me pull it up.
I tell people all the time, like briefs come in a variety of different ways. Like sometimes it's a text, YouTube video for the reference. Sometimes it's an email. Um, some of the libraries
Okay, so the
they're ongoing. So
name of the record is Jesse Boykins the third. It's called Before B4, B with a number 4. The night is through. Before the night is through. So with this song, it's for an independent film that's going into production. And I had a supervisor tell me that their license song for the film is going to be probably between 6 and 8K. So I'm presenting some cheaper options between like 3 or 4K, or to help them save some money on the project. And that's, like I said, that's not even in production yet. So we still have plenty of time with that. That's why I mentioned it. There was DJ Skrillex Rumble replacement. Was for a video game trailer. So I was looking for that recently. I just missing. I was looking for some jazz, E minor jazz. They wanted like a um, they wanted a string section in it if it was possible, like 2 or 3 string players on that
okay.
particular project. It was a jazz cue. It was paying like 5,000 for that one. And then what else? Okay, we just had a big commercial we just worked on recently. It was basically with the word drip or dripping it. Yeah, those lyrics that were in it. It was like kind of like I think they had a Cardi drip as one of the references. They had another one in that brief. So those are some like uh, updated briefs that I've had just come across my desk recently. So those are a few.
Nice.
And I'm just trying to keep on the trends and keep growing the catalog, whether it be trailerized hip hop or epic hip hop or sports themed hip hop. It's always in demand, especially now we got
March Madness.
baseball season coming back. Baseball season not long. Madness, yeah, now, yeah, you're right about that.
Yep. We got hope. I think you're. Oh no, you're back. You're back. Dope. We got another one. Chris Butler says, "What are the top things you don't want to see or hear from artists?"
I don't want to see or hear.
Yeah. So like I guess in submissions or with
Okay.
as far as music submissions.
Maybe like a whole. I don't need a whole EPK or like a whole story. I don't need a whole story or EPK. Like that's really unnecessary. The really music stands for itself,
Yeah.
represents itself. So like kind of like I said, short and sweet but customized. Um, I mean, not having metadata together. Like if I'm getting a request or getting the music pitched to me, it's in Disco or maybe it's not in Disco. But if I pull it up and then see there's no metadata, that's definitely a red flag. And not having splits, not having metadata, not being organized, not having your stuff in the correct format. You know, it needs to be high res MP3, 320 MP3s, kilobits.
Yeah.
Not, 128 or something, which is going to be so bad quality and it's be like probably like a 2 meg file, which
Yeah.
is easy for you to send, but to make it a good file to send to a supervisor.
Yep.
So yeah,
100%.
all that's pretty important. Just being organized, having everything properly labeled, having artwork for any of the album or artwork, having music videos is always a good idea
Yeah.
and can help pitch songs.
Got you. Good stuff, man. Dan says, when an artist decides to work with a sync agent, is there any contract between the artist and the sync agent in terms of representation in sync?
Yeah. So typically my deals are 2-year deals, and they're non-exclusive. So I do 2-year non-exclusive deals typically, depending on the situation. But yeah, I'm taking a percentage of the upfront sync fee. Um, so I mean, what was the back end of the question?
Um, is there any contract? I think that was it in terms of representation in sync. So yeah, if there's a deal in place, like a contract between
Yeah,
the creator and you.
basically a non-exclusive agreement, and it's typically in mine 2-year term. But there's a lot of other libraries and sync agents that have a lot longer term. More, I've seen 5. I've seen even longer sometimes. But
Yeah.
I try to keep it where it's short up front. It can always renew too if the artist wants to renew.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a couple years to show you what I can do. Not saying that for everybody I land placements in those first few years, because not everyone gets placements in the first few years, even with
Right.
pitching full time.
Yep.
It's just a lot of things that take place when you're representing music and then you're actually trying to place it. It's
Yep.
two separate things, but I think the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you learn from each experience, and you kind of take it with you, um, so that the next time you're more prepared.
Yeah. Love that. Do you still see a demand for like girl empowerment songs or women empowerment
Yes,
songs?
um, you can see. I mean, like we look at hip hop right now. You're having like female rappers run the whole game right now. You're having Glorilla, and you're
Glorilla, yep.
having like Dochi. So and you're seeing films like what was Issa Rae movie that they had came out like in January. Talking about the comedy with her and SZA. Did you see the trailer
Uh,
for that?
I can't remember off the top of my head the
But,
title.
but there's plenty of projects like that where they're female leads that are needing music that are female empowerment driven.
Hmm.
And there's people that specialize just in female empowerment stuff. I mean, you have like artists like a Sia or like Adele or something,
Yep.
that could really uh, enhance the character of a female lead on screen.
Yeah. 100%. Great question. James says, how can we submit a playlist to you? Are you accepting submissions?
Yes, I take submissions, and my email address is sealsyncatlanta@gmail.com. I just added more space on there so I can take more submissions.
Gotcha.
I gotta keep doing that, changing the email every now and then. But yeah, that's my email address. And like I said, if I don't get back to you in the first email you send, just send a follow up within a week or two.
Dope. And it's still with the E sync
Yes,
at
Steel with 3 E's, STEELESYNC,
cool.
Atlanta
Still sync Atlanta at what was the ad again?
at Gmail.
At Gmail. Gotcha. I'm gonna drop it in the chat for you guys. um Dope. Allison says, yeah, I write those easily and well. Super dope. I've heard that TV and film is about 2 years behind in terms of music and or genre. Is that true?
Uh, um, I mean, like it depends on the project.
Yeah.
It can be true. I would say with advertisements, I've noticed a trend with a lot of ad agencies that they're looking for like songs from like the early 2000s or sometimes the 90s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it just depends on the project. Sync nowadays, I would say, if it's being synced currently, I would say, it's like staying on top of the trends. Um, that's, I mean,
Cause I guess you could see it. So, okay, so say there's a situation where um a TV show is in like post production
yeah,
at the time, and I guess maybe there's a musical vision for something that's current now, but then by the time they actually finish,
yep,
could that
and
trend be, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
could it be gone, or like
No,
by
I
the
mean,
time it actually comes out?
and you're having films that take a long time to be made now. That
Yeah.
people are spending 5 or 6 years on a project on a film. Like The Substance took 6 years to film.
Mm-hmm.
I think 6 years of filming and post work. Um, so like if you're dealing with a film that it started 5 years ago, the trends 5 years ago are a lot different than the current needs. So yeah, I mean, a lot of situations, the music might be outdated, and if it took an extra 6 months or a year to get done, that song that was hot 6 months ago or a year ago might be replaced by something that's more popular at the time being.
Yeah. That yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever had a situation where, like, say you almost had the placement, like they were like, yo, like we're strongly considering this, and then at the last minute it just falls through? Does that
Yes,
happen to you?
it happens all the time, and you can't take that the wrong way. You can't take it personal because there's always some reason behind some of those things, and like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just out of your control. You can only do so much. I can only pitch the best music that I represent or
Yeah.
that I have, within my connections or whatnot. So
Yeah.
um,
That's why it's
yeah,
so hard, man. I get people who are kind of new to the whole idea of sync, and they're like, you know, if I follow these steps, can you like guarantee me a placement? I was like, no, I don't know anyone who can guarantee a
yeah,
placement. Just
and if anybody's guaranteeing placements or whatnot, something's not right. I mean, like I said,
Mhm.
there's so many factors that come into play on a lot of these sync placements that even if you do everything right, it might take some time. It really does. It takes time to really get your music out there to the right people, and it's like I said, it's the right people. Sometimes
Yeah.
your initial like my initial reaction with that first record we had a bunch of syncs with was to get a club record that was playing in the Tampa Bay market that could trickle over to mix show, that could trickle over to radio. It
Mhm.
wasn't to get a sync placement, but I tell you one thing, my job, my as a manager, as an artist, I was trying to get it in to Luke Benson, the director from The Fifth Element, and
Mhm.
I was, like the guy that was at the local club DJ. Like he was cool or whatever, but like I'm not doing the music for that guy, really.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if I can get it into like a decision maker's hands, like a director, independent director, or a major director,
Mhm.
they can do a lot more than music than like a local DJ could,
Yeah. Makes
because
sense.
they have they're able to get it into the biggest projects and get that exposure for you. And
Right.
I'm it exposures, like you said, uh, there's multiple streams. You have the upfront sync fee, you have the back end PRO money you collect, and
Mhm.
then you see a bump in streams. You definitely see that, especially if you see multiple placements with a record. You can see hundreds of thousands to millions of streams off a record just from sync placements.
Yeah. Yep. Um A couple more questions. We got a couple more
Yeah,
minutes.
good question.
Desmond says, "Do you prefer full songs over instrumentals or both?"
So I'm typically pitching full songs. I would say 75, 80% of the time, and then the rest would be instrumental or score.
Got you. Okay. What about EDM? You still see requests for EDM music?
Yeah, yeah. Like the DJ Skrillex Rumble record replacement for a big video game trailer was something they needed recently. You've seen EDM kind of a little bit everywhere. You see it in film and television on certain projects.
Hmm.
You've seen a lot of like ads, especially like I see a ton of like car commercials that have EDM
Yeah.
music behind it.
Yep.
You know, especially if they're trying to be futuristic and have a electric vehicle or hybrid. It
Yep.
kind of goes along with the theme they're trying to portray there. Um, so yeah, absolutely. And the thing about EDM is like almost every film or television project has like a party or like a up tempo cue with it. You know, where they're going to a club or like a strip club or like a like a jukebox like or something.
Hmm.
And they're just looking to create that emotion and that celebration kind of theme on a lot of these cues, and then a lot of it's EDM
Yeah.
because EDM is up tempo. It works well in club situations. It works well in some source music situations too.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
absolutely, EDM's in high demand, and I don't see it going out of demand because I think it's just going to continue to grow and get more interesting.
Yeah. When you're looking for tracks, any particular length of songs you like to look for, or does it
Yeah,
matter much to you?
I mean typically 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
If a song is longer, that gives you more cues and edit points. So I don't say there's anything bad about having longer songs.
Okay.
I would suggest if it is longer, having those edit points and not make sure it's not like too repetitive or it's
Okay.
like you need to change every 4 to 6 bars to keep the listener interested. And if it has those multiple edit points, if it has like a pre-chorus, a chorus, a bridge, a couple verses,
Hmm.
that gives you options as an editor or as a supervisor. They can say, okay, let's use the chorus and let's use the second verse, or let's start it off at the very beginning, or however they want to use it. And then, it has, say, since it's a song that's 5 or 6 minutes long, that gives you more edit points. That gives you more opportunities to put those in more sync placements because it has those different sections in it. Where
Gotcha.
say for instance, the big build might be used like on Sam's theme on Stranger Things. When she the Kate is it Kate? What's her last name? Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. If they want that big build moment for that a scene like that, or if it has like maybe like a bridge that goes a little softer or something, they might use that for a totally different placement.
Yeah.
So I like when I hear some long songs sometimes because it gives you those edit points and gives you those sections you can break up the song into pieces and make money and monetize it.
Yeah. That makes sense. We got another good one here. And then we'll probably wrap it up with this.
Okay.
My band has some of our songs in a non-exclusive library. If we use a sync agent, do we need to take our music off the library for a sync agent to pitch the artist songs?
I would say no, you don't need to.
Since it's a
Like I said,
non-exclusive library.
this is non-exclusive in the library. You can still pitch it non-exclusive with other sync agents or other libraries at the same time.
Nice.
So yeah, it would only be if they had the songs exclusive, then I wouldn't be able to work with them.
Got you. Got you. Super dope. So, listen, we're about to transition. We're about to have live music reviews, and I usually just go through the community and like we play tracks, and critique it and, you know, see if it's sync ready, basically. I know you're a busy guy, but do you have a little bit of time to hang
Yeah,
out with us on the live
yeah,
music reviews?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I got some time.
dope, dope, dope. So we're gonna transition. Matt's gonna join us for some of our live music reviews. So for those who are here on YouTube, stick around. We're gonna start back up on the next stream, and then we're gonna see if this music is ready for sync. Matt, before people get off of this podcast, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you, Still Sync, and the Spotlight conference that you Sync
Yep.
Spotlight conference that you have going on?
All right, so I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram, SteelSync, SteelSync, Sync Spotlight, SPOTLIGHT. Both on Instagram. I just hit 13,000 on my SteelSync page,
Nice.
and then
Congrats.
we just hit like 2,500 on the Sync Spotlight page recently. We plan on trying to be around that 3,000 range by the end of the conference, hopefully.
Awesome.
But yeah, you can also visit my website, steelsync.com, syncspotlight.com. Yeah, you can catch mainly on Instagram and my websites pretty much. And then my
Okay.
email address, again, for anybody that wants to send anything, is steelsyncAtlanta@gmail.com. That's steel, STEELESYNC.
Dope, dope. Appreciate you, man. Stick around. We're gonna transition to these music reviews, and thank you again, man. We really appreciate the insight.
Absolutely. Love it.
All
Love
right,
being
man.
here.
Peace.
Good questions, too.
Thank you.